CDBG public hearing to order at 6:35. Guess I should have had the agenda ready to go here. All right, so public hearing on the CDBG 2023 public service funding. Guess we'll do call from the floor. We have Care House and Turning Point here. We'll just go alphabetical order, I guess. Care House, if you'd like to go first.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Thank you. My name is Paula Schnolin. I am the clinical coordinator and lead counselor at Care House. Care House is the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center with our main office located in Mount Clemens and a satellite office located in Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County providing comprehensive services for child victims of sexual assault, physical abuse, or children who have witnessed a violent act, as well as their non-offending family members. Our goals are to minimize trauma for child victims of abuse and to support the child victim and non-offending family members throughout the investigation, prosecution, and beyond. Care House is an accredited member of the National Children's Alliance and one of over 800 in the United States. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, as well as the FBI, Homeland Security, and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, Child Protective Services, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, and medical and mental health professionals. Care House offers intervention and support services for child victims and their parents, intervening to promote healing and helping families to cope with the emotional stress and trauma that is caused not only by the acts of abuse, but also by the investigative process. Our services include coordination of forensic interviews, crisis counseling, child safety assessments, parent and child support groups, trauma-focused therapy sessions, family advocacy, access to forensic medical examinations, assistance with transportation to therapy appointments, and referrals to other community services. As a designated counsel in Macomb County for the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, Care House also offers child abuse prevention information, education, and training for professionals and to the community at large. Families are never charged for the services they receive at Care House. I'm also proud to report that according to our most recent independent financial audit, over 89 cents of every dollar that comes to Care House is specifically devoted to serving children and their families in our communities. Almost three children in every Michigan classroom and over 20,000 of all the children right here in Macomb County today are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. These numbers are surely much higher than our best estimates because most children never tell. Sadly, living with sexual abuse is a reality for children of every race, gender, and economic status. Many of the parents who bring their children to Care House have shared that they experienced sexual abuse themselves as a child and never told anyone or received support to help them heal from their trauma. If a child chooses you to share their disclosure, recognize how hard it was for him or her to gather the courage to tell someone about their abuse. Although it is hard to hear a child's story of abuse, your initial reaction is very important. Don't show shock or horror, but support the child and acknowledge his or her courage in speaking out. Always report any suspicions of abuse. It is the responsibility of adults to keep our children safe. Since our opening in 1996, we have conducted over 10,000 child forensic interviews with 126 of those children residing in the village of New Haven. In 2021, we provided 728 forensic interviews. 7 of those children were residents of the village of New Haven. Last year, in 2022, we conducted 704 forensic interviews, and 11 of those children resided in the village of New Haven. We depend upon support from the community to provide a voice for child victims and a safe place for them to be heard. We are very grateful for the $2,400 that we received in Community Development Block Grant funding from the Village of New Haven last year, and for your long-standing support. We respectfully request your consideration for funding this upcoming year in the amount of $2,400 to support services for 4 qualifying child victims and their families that reside in the village of New Haven. Of course, we would be grateful for any amount you were able to allocate to us. For more information about Care House, we invite you to visit our website at www.nccarehouse.org and to follow us on Facebook. Thank you for your time and for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you definitely for the services that your Care House provides. It's good to see at least that in 2022 the number of the forensic interviews went down a little bit. Unfortunate to see that the number of New Haven children went up though. So definitely thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Turning Point.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Portia Jackson. I am the Sexual Assault and Community Engagement Specialist with Turning Point. Turning Point has been providing a safe place for families fleeing violence since 1980. Between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, the Emergency Shelter Program provided 63 shelter bed nights to 3 New Haven residents. Across other agency programs, Turning Point served 22 New Haven residents. Turning Point's Emergency Shelter Program is a safe haven for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. It provides immediate safety, crisis intervention, and resources to families trying to establish basic safety. The project is a multifaceted approach to ending the cycle of violence in families. Turning Point's 2 shelter case managers meet with every new shelter resident within 24 hours of their arrival to develop an individualized plan based on their goals. For survivors arriving on the weekend, they meet with the case managers on the following Monday. They also work on a plan for safety, housing, and financial stability. This plan can include literacy, immigration, credit repair, and supportive counseling for domestic and sexual violence after leaving shelter. The Emergency Shelter Case Management Program has developed collaborations and linkages to multiple systems, organizations, businesses, and churches that can help domestic violence victims maintain their safety when leaving shelter. There is strong evidence which states that improving survivors' knowledge of and access to community resources leads to higher quality of life and less risk of reabuse over time. Resource building serves as a protective factor that enhances women's safety over time. Turning Point continues to provide comprehensive services to children while in shelter and after they leave. Children in shelter receive crisis support, tutorial and educational assistance, safety planning, recreation activities 7 days a week. A day camp also runs all summer, and many children keep in contact with us for many months after leaving the shelter. A child crisis advocate works with children and teens in shelter and is able to follow them after they leave shelter to continue offering individual and group supportive services. Turning Point's shelter facility is completely handicap accessible, has increased educational, indoor and outdoor play area for children and teens, private sleeping and bathroom facilities, multi-purpose room that functions as a dining room and family activity area, private dedicated counseling spaces, and spaces for other nonprofits to be on site to deliver their own services. Turning Point is requesting $1,500 to fund shelter meals, basic needs, crisis intervention, case management, child care, program advocacy, support, and information groups. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm also open to any questions at this time.
Does anybody have any questions? Any questions or comments?
And then I also do have pamphlets and handouts for you all as well at the end. I can pass them around.
Sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have any other charities that wanted to come up and speak for the public hearing? All right. If there's no other public comment, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:46. You good with that? All right. We'll call the February Village Council meeting to order. 7 o'clock. Rise and perform the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bukowski? Here. Trustee Dilbert?
He's here.
Trustee Guerrero?
Here.
Trustee Nona? Here. Trustee Trupoli? Here. Trustee Suchi?
Here.
President Meissner?
Here.
Treasurer Nolan Dilbert? Here. That's it.
Alrighty. Approval of the agenda, I have one item to add under new business, will be item number I, and it will be setting a public hearing in March for the 2023-2024 budget. Does anybody have any other modifications to the agenda they'd like to make? Motion's in order.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, approval of the minutes. First, we have the ZBA public hearing from January 10th, 2023.
So moved. Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Alrighty. And we have council meeting minutes for January 10th, 2023.
There's one on the approval agenda as Trustee Gilbert making the motion and the second. And I believe it was Trustee Bukowski seconding.
It was, I'll make the change.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the council meeting minutes as amended?
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, payment of bills, treasurer's report.
Approval of January 2023 payroll, $93,791.26. And bills to be paid for February 2023, $190,086.19, for a total of $238,877.45. Treasurer's report, the total village cash of $5,579,764.62.
All righty, thank you, Treasurer Nolan Gilbert. Do we have a motion for the payment of bills?
I'll move that we pay the bills in the amount of $238,877.45.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Roll call.
Trustee Trupoli?
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
President Meissner?
Yes.
I'll move to receive and file the treasurer's report as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do you need a roll call on this, or is this a? No. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Communications Committee reports. Item A, clerk.
Agenda items for the March 14th meeting will be due by March 3rd, please.
All right. Thank you, clerk. Parks and Rec report, trustee Guerrero.
Yes, we had a meeting last month. We have some things in motion. April 8th is going to be Easter parade. It's a Saturday before Easter, I think. And line up's at 10:30 and the parade starts at 11 a.m. We were scheduled to have painting, I guess, at the community center, but I guess it's kind of like in talks not to have it now because of the windows being broken. I just got emailed just today about that, so I don't know if it's going to be in fact painting or not, but we'll keep everybody posted. We're also getting the bands together for Music in the Park. And then we have scheduled Red Hot Food Festival for just a few future, that's fast approaching, July 14th.
All right. New business. First up, we have the CDBG Public Service Funding Allocation. We had our public hearing and heard from two charities. We also had a third charity that was unable to be here today, or nonprofit that was unable to be here today. And we did have the information forwarded along via email. So you should have that information. Total amount that we have for our allocation is $2,800. We have Care House requesting $2,400, Turning Point requesting $1,500, and Interfaith requesting $296. It's the pleasure of council. Trustee Dilbert?
Knowing the long history of Care House and Turning Point, I would like to make a motion that we take the $2,800 and we divide it between the two, $1,400 apiece. Their history in this county and in this village is, they've done a good job over the years. I'm real confident that they will continue to provide the services to our residents.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
All right. Moved and supported. Any comment on the discussion? Any discussion on the motion? All right. Roll call.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Dombrowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
And President Meissner.
Yes. All right. Thank you to both of you.
Care House, if I may, I'm sorry. Care House, I think, or it's Turning Point, holding a fundraiser coming up at,
Setting out with the stars in April.
no, the one at the, or has it passed? At the theater in Mount
The
Pleasant.
Emerald Theater, yes, that's
Yes.
this Thursday. I have a flyer for that as well. We do like one at the end.
Perfect. All righty. Next, under new business, we have President Pro Tempore appointment. So I sent everybody an email out that we're a little delinquent on setting our Pro Tem appointment. Normally, that's supposed to be done at the January meeting, but they kind of slipped my agenda. So I was asking for anybody that was interested. I had one response of serious interest and one of they'll do it if nobody else speaks up. So with that, I would like to request that we appoint Trustee Dilbert to the pro tem position.
Second.
I think we need a motion first, probably, and then a support.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Gilbert to President Pro Tem.
Support.
Moved and supported. All of
You need a roll call because you may control one.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Winkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Abstain?
And President Meissner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Next up, we have the Division property. We had an offer to purchase. This property is located directly behind the community, what's currently our community center and the food pantry. There is a tower that is located on the property. Originally, I believe it used to be a church that was then condemned and torn down, and now it's a vacant property that the village has ownership of. The proposal letter that we received, and as part of the packet, from well, I guess maybe I won't say who the person's name is just for privacy's sake, but the offer that we got was in the amount of $6,000 for the property. They were envisioning constructing a duplex living unit on the lot after approval of plans submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So like I said, this property isn't presently for sale. It is adjacent to our community center and the food pantry. I'm curious to hear what the thoughts are, if you want to receive and file it, or if anybody would like to make a motion on it. Trustee Dilbert?
Personally, I would hope that the village not sell that property. While it is a buildable lot, with the community center being there and the pantry being there, I foresee that at some point in time, we may want to do something with that property. You know, whether if it's an expansion of community programs where we can, I don't know, put in a small playground, maybe some horseshoe pits or something, to give our residents more options as to where they can go, where they can participate in certain functions. That lot, you know, over the years there's been a lot of inquiries about buying that lot, selling that lot. And I've always resisted that because I don't see the need. I mean, I think, you know, it's one of the nicer green spaces that we own. And unless we're that desperate for another rooftop, I would hope that we would retain ownership and maybe start looking at doing something with it, you know.
Thoughts?
With that tower there, how much of that lot is buildable?
Most of it.
Is there an easement from that tower?
That tower housed the siren for the old fire department, and I think there's an antenna up there.
For the PRV.
Yeah, for the PRV.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, we have, you know, that tower is fenced off from the lot. There's a 6 foot, I think a 6 foot fence around it, or 8 foot fence around it. So it is separated. But it's a nice lot that I think we as a village, as a community, you know, probably develop it and you know, put something nice there if we choose to do that. It may just be a simple gazebo for people who are out walking and want to take a break. You know, it's, you know, I don't think we should entertain, you know, an offer to purchase. And if we did decide to entertain an offer to sell, then I think we should list it because it's worth a lot more than what we're being offered.
Trustee Donkowski, and why?
I just was gonna say, I mirror what Chris says. You know, it'd be a nice spot for a community garden.
Yeah, even think about what Lennox Township has with some of their equipment that they have at their park. They have like the workout equipment stations and everything. I mean, even something simple like that. That could be like a passive, doesn't have to be something, you know, that would be really expensive to put up. That would be just an amenity of some sort that for us people are, we've been making so much effort to make that the whole area more walkable and, you know, bikeable, and, you know, now that we're getting there with all the sidewalks that have been put in, you know, now it'd be nice to actually kind of connect all of these little parcels that we own.
How long has the village owned that property?
30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, I tried to look on BSNA, and I don't even think that the sale is in there anymore.
There was probably closer to 30, because after the church closed down, the village bought the building and property, and at one point, the police department was housed in the basement of that building. And then eventually the police department moved to where Rosefeller was. And then the building just sat there, and there was an attempt at one point to actually either move the building or renovate it, because back then, when it was standing, it was the oldest building in the village of Vallejo.
On that site?
I'm sorry,
On that site?
yes.
Because my thoughts are, if we're going to do something with that land, then we need to do something with that land. Because one of the criticisms that I've been hearing is landowners sitting on vacant land and not developing it in their downtown area. Well, we're one of them now, right? So if we're going to do something with it, then we need to come together and figure out what we want to do with it and do something. If not, give it to someone who will do something with it.
All right, any other comment on the motion? Or on the topic?
So, Mr. I should be part of that motion. Mr. Harrell's the talking about it right now. So I'll put up.
You know what? Should we give him a chance to talk? He's just showing up.
I mean, typically, we wouldn't be expected to.
That's the end of the question. You could, yeah, unless you have a question.
Should we, yeah, is there any other questions on the topic?
Okay, so I
You
don't
have,
yeah, so I'm just not.
I think we need to receive and file.
Reject. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to reject the offer for the division property. Support.
Okay, we have a motion to reject the offer for the Division Street property, and it's been properly supported. Any further discussion on the topic?
What is our reason for rejecting it?
I made the motion to reject because, as I earlier said, I mirror Chris, that it would be different if it was a random piece of property not connected to any village property, but it is. So we can do something with it, and I think we should maybe later talk about what can we do and get those wheels in motion. Even if we refer to Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and I agree too, like Trustee Dober, you can always expand the community center, make it a senior center or something, but that's land that, like you said, it's green space that we can always expand on. Another rooftop, again, I agree on that, I need another rooftop.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing with it, but I just want to know why we're rejecting it because we're going to explore those options.
Yes.
Okay.
In addition, if we do explore the options and we're not able to come up with something, then we could list the piece of property as we could any.
Okay. I just want to know why we're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Trustee Suchi?
Yeah, I think I respect the fact that somebody's putting out an offer to purchase the property. I think it's important to have people in the village that are willing and able to help develop the village. I do think it would be a little bit rushed on our end to accept an offer immediately for a property that we're unaware of yet. If we're going to develop on it, what we want to do with it, what the actual value of that property might be. I think we owe it to the village to vet the options out a lot further before we make any determination as to whether or not we want to sell it. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of selling in the future, but I think we need a better understanding of really what our options are before we can move forward with that.
Any other discussion on the agenda topic, or on the motion, sorry? All right. Let's do a roll call.
Trustee Malkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Pacoli?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. Okay. Next up, we have item D, budget amendments. Ms. Kazel, if you can come up.
that time of year to do the budget amendments. Some of the highlights for the revenue that I had to adjust was I had gone through and did all the current real tax and adjusted to what the actual tax was amounts. So I went through all the tax counts and made sure that we were, lost for words, I don't know what's on my anyways. I just lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. Anyways, I go every year and I make the numbers actual to the real tax, that's what I was trying to say. Some of the highlights here on the revenue was that we had done an adjustment for our population. Our population went from 4642 to 6,097, so we got a adjustment of $241,000 for our sales tax this year. So that was a big increase for our Michigan sales tax. I went through and we had to take away the SMART revenue because of the fact that we lost our SMART revenue this year. One of the other things that happened is I adjusted some of the major streets and highway, major local streets a little bit because of population. That's in the formula also. I took away our grant money that we were supposed to receive for the 27 in Gratiot because it's not going to happen in this fiscal year. It was $172,000. I put it in the next budget for 23-24 because I had to take it away because it was over our 10% for the way we had to keep our line items. Let's see what else. That's probably, water meters. We can't get water meters, so we're not getting any income off of that at all. There's a water meter shortage, but hopefully we have enough meters. Next time we can only get meters is September, so hopefully we have enough for new builds for the summer, which doesn't look likely, but that's one of our issues and it's one of our income that comes in. Expenses, I usually go through this year and go through and adjust the wages, especially with DPW. I never know what they're gonna be using for the year and stuff like that, so I had to do some adjusting there. We did have a new hire in the accounts payable department, and she took full coverage on the health insurance, so I had to adjust that. We have some video services and computer system supports that's be coming up because we're going to get that Microsoft 365. We had building repair and maintenance. We had paint, concrete repair. What else happened? I took, which I must have missed, transferred to other funds, $185,000 from the sewer debt that we didn't have to do anymore. I forgot to take that out of the budget, so that helped our line items a lot. Our property tax was up a little bit. I had to adjust for the police line items because of the extra officer that we had. Some computer support, we got Wi-Fi at the parks that didn't need to be adjusted up, and our utilities are up. As you know, everything has increased, gas has increased. I am asking for the civic events, that was up. I had to take the buses. We didn't have enough money in SMART, so I had to take $2,000 and put it back into civic events. I put it in that line instead of SMART. I had to make SMART equal from the revenue and expenses. I also had to put in our line items for the deposit to the splash pad of the, was that 80,000 was it?
Oh, deposit.
About 90,000. And I also had to put in there the 20K for the lines improvement I had put in there. That's probably going to change. That's going to be like 250. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. What else? So we had a repair, going down farther, orange spreader. We had a repair to one of the plow trucks.
Plow trucks, right.
Bucket was all bad. Margot project, I had to pull that out because what happened was we paid that $37,000 in April, but I had to put it back into last year's budget because we incurred that cost in last year's budget, so I pulled that line item out of there. Gas and oil, as you know, the price has gone up with that. We had, in the fire department, we had mileage that was not had been put on the line items. Those were, we have training, and none of them were getting paid to go, but we paid their mileage to go to the classes. Building, same thing. I pulled back on building wage about $47,000 because there is not, you can tell just by the building that they're slowing down. We're not having as many inspections and stuff like that happening right now. What else happened? Years again. So basically, it's just maintenance of all the line items so that we can get stuff in there. There was a 26 mile and 19 water main repair. I'm up to, I'm in the water department there. We had Marcus,
Yes.
water main repair, 26.
That was from 26 mile, that was a valve that, the valve had rusted out, and it was right next to a, electric pole, so we had to call Haymarket. They had to do a pole assist, traffic delineation, and it was deep, because that's over by the DWSD fee, or GOWA fee, and they had to use one of their bigger excavators to get down to it to fix it.
So that was one of our expenses that we weren't expecting, another emergency expense.
What did it cost us?
$8,362.
Is it 8,000?
And what else? That's about most of it. So basically, we increased our revenue about $210,000. So that was basically from our population increase. And we decreased our expenses by $86,000. So basically, I am amending the budget for an increase of revenue of $296,611.54. Any questions?
And these changes are made because we underestimate revenues and overestimate expenses to be on the conservative side. So we're making these changes to be a net positive to the village.
Yes. That's correct.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? You have something?
Sandy, do you know offhand when the smart fiscal year, when the new fiscal year?
July. It's July 1st.
July, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that when that comes up.
Any more questions?
All right. Motion's in order.
Make a motion to accept the budget amendments as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Trustee Bukowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
President Meissen?
Yes. Item number E, which is our Macomb County spring sewer debt invoice.
This is basically informational, plus it is only $2,500, so I probably should get approval of paying this. It's in the amount of $422,731.36. It's our spring debt. Most of it is interest, basically. We usually pay all our interest this year. Any questions?
So for those of you that are new to council or newer to the board here, this is one of our one of our bond payments that we have to make to Macomb County. So this is the spring. Is it spring is always interest, and then we have another one later?
Right, and then they took out the OBED, which is the Oakland Macomb Area District. We have to get a separate billing from them now too. So, yeah. We have 17 bonds, just to let you know, that we have to pay on.
Yeah. So page 2 of the supporting document shows the breakdown of where all the different bonds are at. You know, when a discussion comes up about water bills and why are our water bills so high, it's a good document to take a look at.
Good document to share.
Well, sewer, yeah, sewer. Sorry, sewer.
Yeah.
I say water bill as the overall slip. All right. I think we don't need a motion for this one. This is just informational that it's our routine.
No, it wasn't included in the payment of bills, so it needs.
Oh, it wasn't?
So,
All right.
You need a
Thank
motion
you.
on there.
Thank you for the correction. So we need a motion to approve this payment.
So moved.
Support.
Just for clarification's sake, we should probably include the dollar amount.
Yeah.
$422,731.36. And we still have same motion,
Same support.
and same support. All right. Roll call?
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Pasquale?
Yes.
Trustee Noah?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Gazel?
Yes.
Item number F, Michigan Class Resolution, ACH to receive payments for Metro Authority.
What this is actually doing is only asking for us so that they can deposit money right into our bank account, and we have to do a resolution. We have been receiving the ACHs, so they've changed the company that they use now to put the ACH in our thing. The money that we're getting is called the Metro Act right of way. Last year, our last payment was $20,416, so we need to accommodate them so that we can get our money. Basically, the Metro Act right of way is basically for our utilities like Comcast, Bell. We still get the bill, Michigan, we get the check from Michigan Bell, for them to have right of way in the village. And they send us basically franchise fees and stuff like that, and it's an act that we get money for this. So basically what I'm asking you is to approve that resolution so that we can go ahead and tell them that we can, that they can deposit their money into our account.
And the resolution is embedded in the PDF file, the registration form PDF.
Yes.
I think it's page 4 of the file, page 3.
Would we have a resolution number that we would put for our own records that would attach to this?
You can, yeah.
Do we have a resolution number?
2023-002.
2023-002. Motion ordered.
It says page 4, that would be the resolution.
Yeah, this is the attached.
Start of the resolution.
And that's 004.
02.
Yeah, 02, sorry.
Motion ordered.
I will make a motion to adopt resolution, adopt is the right word.
Approve.
Approve. Make that resolution 2023-002 to receive ACH payments for Metro Authority. It's a Michigan class resolution. Is that perfect?
Support.
Properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Hazel,
Yes, sir.
item number G, Can4 LLC fireworks budget.
Mr. Green had called me and asked when our dates were, and also wanted to know, he cannot accommodate us using the $10,000 budget and have the same show. So I asked him what his new cost would be. It'd be $12,000 to have the same show. So I'm here asking if we can up the budget up to $12,000 so that I can tell him. And also the date is July 14th and make up with July 21st. And he knows, he's aware of that, but we need to up the budget if we want to get the same kind of show. Or we get a less of a show if we stay with the $10,000 budget. So it's up to you guys what we want to do.
Typically, the cost of the fireworks show is split between Lennox Township and the Village of New Haven.
Yes.
We can have the discussion with Lennox Township about splitting the costs, but at the end of the day, we're only talking about if it's split, it's only split, raising the cost by $1,000 each for the new cost. So whether or not, we have to split it, or, if we incur the extra $2,000, it's, I know I've always heard from everybody else in the village and residents that this is one of the best fireworks shows that, they see. They go to other municipalities and the fireworks show isn't as good as ours. Maybe we're biased, but I definitely support that. Date of the fireworks that we're proposing, as Ms. Kazel said, was July 14th. with a makeup of 21st if they're not available. Or I guess would that also be a rain date too, in case it rains on the 14th?
Yeah, that's what the makeup date was for,
Okay.
for sure.
And then the new cost of $12,000. So, motion in order?
Was the motion to increase the budget for that line item for the full 12,000, or have we split it with Lennox later, then?
Well, usually what happens is we pay it first and then Lennox reimburses us.
So we're asking for the budget to be $12,000.
Yes. Yes.
What's your motion?
Oh, I'll make the motion to increase the fireworks budget to $12,000.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion?
I will inform Parks and Rec, and then I will inform Mr. Green.
We got a roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Trustee Burkholly? Trustee Zilker?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Setchi?
Yes.
President Magazine?
Yes.
Did I say?
Now you can
inform them. Okay.
Ms. Kazel wants to sit down, and we're going to keep her up here for a
No,
couple
one
more
more,
minutes.
one more, one more.
Two more.
What?
We got the public hearing as well.
Yeah.
I'll let you sit down.
You can do that one.
All right. Number 8, United Glass Community Center windows.
Okay, I don't know if you all know, but we found 2 bullet holes in the windows at the community center. I took it to the insurance company. We had a $250 deductible, and they gave me $414 back. So I'm here today to ask you if you would want to replace. I got a cost of $68.72 to replace the front windows and the side windows, or just go ahead and have the replacement glass of the ones that were had the bullet holes in. It's up to you. My recommendation is just to have the broken glass replaced for the 664, and I will also ask them, because one of them there's 2 windows that have the air conditioning units in them, and one has a bullet hole in it. This one right here, I couldn't put on the quote because of the fact that it didn't have a bullet hole in, and then the other one. So I want to get the 2 bullet holes fixed and have the other air conditioning unit taken out too. So it'll be a little bit more than what the $664 is. But we already got the $414 check from the insurance company. So my recommendation is basically, so there's not going to be a motion unless you guys change your mind, of replacing all the windows for $68.72. That's up to you guys. What do you want me to do?
Windows need replaced.
So,
They do, but I couldn't find anybody else to do a quote on that. Not many people around here have replace commercial windows, so I had a heck of a time finding. I called like 6 people, 6 different companies. I had one that gave me a quote of $68.72.
dare I ask, I know you and I have talked about this multiple times, and
Yes.
it's just now popping in my head, but have we checked with maybe Henderson or some of the
I called Henderson. They said they only did residential. What's the other one?
Yeah,
Wall side,
That's it.
residential. Yeah, this is the only person I could find that was do a commercial and come look at it. It's up to you. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
You have to recognize me.
Oh, sorry.
Pro tem.
Just for information, those windows are original.
Yeah.
And that building was built in 72.
Oh, I think it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
I think that particular portion was built in 72. And I could be wrong about that. So it's over 50 years old. And those windows that exist on that south side are not energy efficient at all.
No.
They're just single pane, bad glazing around the windows.
Yeah, the glazing is really bad on the rest of those.
So if it's the pleasure of council, we could try to get, other quotes to try to compare against to do all the windows.
Yes,
And, we can bring this back next month. Or we can just move forward with just replacing the bullet hole windows. So, we need a motion one way or another.
Who was replacing the windows? Is it the same company you got the quote from?
Yes, United Glass.
What type of window would they put in there? I guess I'm just curious.
Says,
Clear
4
special,
pieces, 1/8 inch clear special sized glass glazed into the window.
That's the repair.
that's right here, that says,
It just says
new clear anodized egress windows.
So they wouldn't be fixed and they would open.
Correct. And they have, they're not fixed right now, they do have openings, but I don't know if they can open anymore, do they?
Those don't qualify as egress.
No, they're too small.
Do they need to open?
I don't know if they're running ADA compliance or not. So that's another question, so basically we probably should table this.
We have,
But the push doors at the front and then in the rear, at the back, if we're getting outdoors, that will qualify you for.
As egress?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, the doors, as our DPW superintendent brought up, the doors at the community center are quite rusty and in need of replacement as well. Ms. Hazel's been trying to get quotes and replacement costs for that. I think that was like $3,200.
It was $3,200 a door. I'm trying to get another quote from other people. I can't get anybody to come out. I have called several places. FGA will not return the phone calls. DSI, they said they were coming to show up, and the only person I got in there was Citywide, and they're the ones that did doors at the bathrooms at the park. So we're having issues trying to get people to come out here and quote us. And also too, then we have a lead time that we have to deal with also. So those doors are in cement, so it's going to take a lot to get those doors out and put in there. It's going to be a pain. But we need 3 doors on the east side and the south side need to be replaced. So
So that'll be,
we're trying to get some quotes, but
that'll be another quote that we'll have in the future to contend with. So do we have a motion? It sounds like we have a consensus of wanting to table this and work on it. Quotes. Do we have a motion for that?
We're gonna make a motion to, we'll get more votes. I'll make a motion to table.
All right.
I have a question though. So, Ms. Grouse said something about you guys couldn't use it because of the broken window.
I just found out when through the theater.
that was not what was said to them. What I told them that they need to talk to us because we had issues with the HVAC and we also have issues with those windows. And I told them that they need to contact us, let us know, if that building's available. We're having a problem with the heat right now also. We're having cold return air issues in that building and the filters are out of them. The furnace was overheating and we had to have 3 visits and they're supposed to be in here tomorrow to fix it, but I don't know how they're going to be able to fix it tomorrow or not. So we are having issues with that building, and I reached out with LaShawna and told her that we're having issues with it, and they should check with us if the building's available or not. So we were not aware that there was a painting and twist, and we were not aware that there was a check that needed to be cut this week either. So we asked them if they would just contact us so that we knew what was going on.
So the community center is not usable at all right now at the moment, is that correct?
I wouldn't use it right now.
They don't have 40 bulb?
Just with the holes doesn't really stop.
I know, but there's no filters in the because of overheating on the furnace. They didn't want anybody really in there because of the fact that I will let everybody know tomorrow when they do it.
But wasn't there karate in there also though? Were they doing karate in there with the windows busted up?
He's no longer there.
But he was using it though.
Yes, he was, yeah.
The windows were.
But we have issues with stuff, and we want to get that corrected before we start having stuff in there. That's all.
Yeah.
So if the HVAC people repair the HVAC issue tomorrow, can they use the building?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with the window, that's
It
where
had
I was
nothing to
going.
do with the window.
Okay.
My issue was the HVAC.
Okay.
Because there was filters, the filters are out, it's sitting there, not being protected, and it was overheating. So we really didn't want anybody in there because of the overheating situation that was going on with the HVAC.
So how can we communicate that moving forward? Maybe that would help.
Well, I did, we're supposed to have chair people that run through the dinner, so maybe that was, I don't know how that developed with the cracks, but there is supposed to be a chairperson to contact you guys. I guess it must have
Or
slipped.
maybe could you help
with
Yeah, we're gonna-
communicating that, maybe?
Yeah, we are going to be at the Parks and Rec meeting next week, and we're gonna communicate that, how the protocol for communication is gonna be taken care of. So
Okay.
we're addressing it at the next Parks and Rec meeting next week.
All right, good. That would be great.
President Pro
Go
Tem.
ahead.
I heard the term bullet multiple times.
Yeah.
Thank you, I'm glad you're saying that.
Have we confirmed that these were bullets that were shot through the windows?
The last person said it was a bullet. I did a police report, she said it was not. The insurance person said not. I had other people look at it, they said they were, so.
I mean, if they were shot from the outside in, shouldn't they have been able to recover?
There was nothing on the outside and there was nothing on the inside.
DPW Superintendent.
BB gun, pellet gun.
Okay.
I know what you're saying, bullet. Bullet is a big.
Yeah, I mean, bullet could be a different picture.
BB and pellet gun.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
One's really, really tiny and one is probably a quarter inch or something like that.
And we really don't know how long those poles have been there. I mean, Ms. Kazel was at the community center and she was just doing an inspection of the building. She just happened to open the blinds to look at the AC window, AC unit, and that's when she discovered the hole was there. So we really don't know how long it's been there. There was no, I don't think there was even a hole through the
The lines are
blinds.
nothing, yeah. we don't
So-
know. Yeah.
Let's see.
We know that it happened around a couple weeks ago because a neighboring person said that their car got a couple
Yeah.
little
No
pellet
mistakes,
gun,
yeah.
you know, somebody was out being.
So yeah,
Yeah, there was no incident.
but that's just hearsay for right now, we don't know
Yeah.
if that was at the same time or not.
So, in reference to the heating and cooling, didn't we just approve, replacing the heating and cooling? for that building?
Yes.
So we
Yes,
had,
visionary.
the furnace was replaced by the vendor.
Okay.
What we have found out is that they did not take into consideration cold air return. So the furnace in that room is overheating, and it's shutting the furnace down.
It's going through a cycle, it's a two-step cycle, and what it does is it heats up the limit switch, and limit switch is overheating, so it would turn it down, so. We knew that there was gonna be an air differential when we had the other people do it, the S&P heating, where, when they did it, they knew they had to put more, cold air returns in there. This vendor did not.
Does this only affect the community center, or does it affect the
It's
passing off?
community center.
Yeah, we haven't had any complaints.
So
from-
they're gonna come in and they're gonna figure out what they wanna do. I don't know if they're gonna be putting more cold air return, in the ceiling, or they're just gonna make that cold air return above the door bigger, or they're gonna make a louver door in there or whatever. We'll find out in the morning what they have decided.
And this was a licensed contractor.
There was a licensed contractor and it's still under warranty, and that's why I'm still dealing with them.
You don't want these for how long?
Huh?
How long is the warranty?
3 years.
I think it was only 6 months.
Oh.
That's why I got it done.
You know, I have a major concern now.
Yeah, I do too.
5 years.
Yeah.
I'll have to read his paperwork, but
Yeah, I thought it was years.
was it years?
I thought. but
I thought I
could
only
be
saw 6, but I'll read the paperwork over again. They are accommodating us, they're trying to fix it, they're trying to figure it out, so.
Yeah,
They're
well,
not
we're
charging
having,
us.
so DPW would go over there, they would set the thermostat to 68 degrees or whatever, and then, you know, we did have a different topic later in the evening, but as you guys are aware, there was we did have a weekly rental of the facility. They might have been messing with the thermostat temperatures, we're not really sure, but, it's like it would work really good for a while, and then all of a sudden we would have, maybe it was like a cold day, so the furnace is working extra hard, and then we would have the overheating of the furnace and it would shut down and have to be recycled or restarted or whatever. So it was kind of it was a gremlin that we were chasing, trying to get it all resolved, and then they finally identified that it was the lack of the cold air return. So, any other discussion on the motion?
Is there any,
Trustee Sachi.
is there any additional damage that could be done to the community center by a lack of acting swiftly with the replacement of the broken glass? Any additional damage that could happen to the building?
No, it's different, like it's cold, I mean, there's a little hole in the windows, we have blinds down, it's not really affecting anything. No,
So we're not
nobody knew about it until I happened to look, like,
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will bring that back next month. Last but not least, under new business, we have item I, setting a public hearing in March for the 2023-2024 budget. So we have our budget that we need to pass for the next fiscal year, and we need to have a public hearing for it.
Do you want to go just before regular council?
That probably would be the easiest way to do it.
And do we have to have two? for
No,
our
we're not
budget?
setting millages, we're just
Okay.
doing the budget.
Okay, just the budget, okay.
Yeah, the millages are in July or June?
June, that's right, yeah. Okay. I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing for March 14th at 6:30 for the public hearing on the budget.
Do we have a second? Oh, thank you. All right, it's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. I believe as part of that public hearing as well, or prior to the March meeting, we'll want to have a budget workshop so that we can all get together and powwow and go through the 2023-2024 proposed budget.
Do you want to
So-
set that now?
If we want, yeah, we could set that now. I didn't have it as the agenda item.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yes, it will, with February being such a short month. I don't know if we want to have it maybe the week before the March meeting.
Are we gonna take action on something not on the agenda?
It's not actually setting the
So doesn't planning meet on the 7th, which is the week before?
They do, so we wouldn't be able to meet on Tuesday. It would have to be on a different night than Tuesday.
Could we do it on the 28th? Would you be ready for that then?
28th of
February?
Ms. Kazel, would you be available if we did a budget workshop on February 28th?
What day is it?
That'd be
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I should be, yeah, I should be done.
All right. Do we need a motion for budget workshop?
This is at the date, this is at the post, you don't need a roll call.
Okay. We have a motion for setting the budget workshop for February 28th at, I'm sorry, did we say
You can say time, I don't care.
6:30?
6:30? Okay. Do we have a motion on that?
Is it what it need to go on?
Oh, you don't need a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's fine. So moved.
It's been moved. Do we have support? Support. It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will schedule the budget the budget workshop, I'm sorry, for February 28th at 6:30, and then the public hearing for the 2023-2024 budget for March 14th at 6:30 p.m. All right, unfinished business, item A, community center policy, trustee Kirkowski.
So I submitted in the packet the proposed changes to the policy. A lot of these changes were made to try to accommodate the existing renters to the building, which is now no longer a thing. So I don't know if we want to continue with the fee schedule that's presented or just simplify it down to how we had it before. Some of the rates did go up for like the security deposit to better reflect the cost it would take for DPW to come in and clean up or fix any damage to the building if it ever happens. And the rates did go up a little bit as well, but other than that, so whatever council wants to do with the change.
Yeah, and just to add on to trustee Pircoli, so, originally what we were looking at is, trying to revisit what is the actual fees that we are charging the residents, as well as, and then additionally, what are we actually incurring for a rental of our facility? having DPW go out and check the facility, make sure that it's ready for the rental, subsequently having them come back and after the rental, whether it's DPW or a village employee, making sure that the facility is nice and clean so that we can return the security deposit. And then, just, maintaining the facility. So that's where there was, instead of the current rate of $75 for the rental and $75 for the security deposit for a grand total of $150. There was the, Trustee Piccoli came up with the standard rental for a New Haven resident, $125, non-resident, $150, and then the recurring rentals, $100 and $125. And then also raising the security deposit $25 to $100. We also, Trustee Piccoli also put together, and I added a bullet in here about recurring rate requirements, so that if we did have a recurring rental moving forward, that we should have some sort of written contract which documents the dates and the times of the rental, when it will be in use. We also put in minimums as well, so 2 rentals in a calendar month must be paid in advance, or 1 rental per month for 3 months, so that there's some sort of recurrence if they're getting the recurring rental rate.
I'm seeing your bullet point now.
So, I think as Trustee Piccoli mentioned, originally this was kind of done as a means of trying to accommodate or come up with a rental fee that would be fair to one of the businesses that was renting the community center on a regular basis. Since then, that business is no longer using the community center. They've returned their key. So, whether or not we want to move forward with this, or it's a pleasure of council. Trustee Sochi?
Do we know if anybody in the recent past has had to forfeit the deposit for a rental on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Does this happen often?
No.
No.
Once or twice a year.
Yeah.
They don't clean them up as themselves and then give it back to them.
What's the amount of time it usually takes for a village employee or member of DPW to go inspect the property?
Next day.
But like the actual physical time that it takes them. Like if I was to send somebody out to the building to inspect the building following a rental, how long does that take them? Like an hour, 2 hours, is it?
No.
Okay, it's
Maybe
pretty quick.
15 minutes. Depends on where it's at. If it's at the park, it could be 15 minutes, half hour. They
Okay.
have to inspect and see if they took the garbage and stuff like that, and bathrooms are clean, and restock the bathrooms with products and stuff like that. So it depends on what's going on. Also with the community center, 15 minutes unless they have to take the garbage and or clean up after the people that, they did not clean up after themselves. So it depends on the situation, of course.
Okay. I'm just asking to try to identify what an appropriate rate would be, what are, when we talk about what the costs that are being incurred to us are. Manpower, right?
Manpower rate is $100 an hour.
Okay.
And I think that's where, it's when they don't clean up, that's when we get into, because the last group that didn't dump the garbage at the community park, and I think every squirrel and raccoon, if this part of the county must have sent out a text or something, and there was garbage everywhere. So it probably took the DPW a while to clean it up.
$75 in credit.
Yes. Didn't cover it, yeah.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah,
So maybe the security should be higher to encourage those individuals to take the garbage bags out of the can, take them over to the dumpster, which is right there, and, and then they would get their money back.
So when we were looking at the cost of it, it did come out that the security deposit would be higher than the actual rental fee if we wanted to cover, but it just didn't seem right in my head, so I made it the same. But if that's how we want to structure it to make it more reflective of our actual cost, then maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
And if we decided not to do the whole fee schedule like this, it would be the 100 and 125. If we want to split it up between the New Haven resident and not. So it'd be an increase of $25.
I have a question. If I rent the facility, does DPW clean the bathrooms when I'm done using it? Because there's a cost there. That takes.
Yes, we have, a lot of times we still, we'll clean them prior to your engagement, and if we need to clean them afterwards, we will. We try not to, because you clean up after yourself, per se, but it all depends on how they're left.
But when I rent it, you've cleaned the bathrooms before I came in?
Yes, we make sure everything is clean, stocked, and ready. So
that's what it cost, back to what you were asking, how much is it actually cost? That cost has to be considered.
Well, that's part of the rental.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's,
so that's kind of where you get the split between, you have the rental fee, which was just the setup and the stocking, the prep, and then you have the security deposit where it's, if they didn't, then you have a greater amount of time of cleaning up and
I see.
re-prepping for,
And so this is a $125 fee with 75 of it being refundable for the pavilion. Am I reading that correctly?
Existing, yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
right
what's
now, the existing rate is 150 with 75 of it refundable, half and half.
And the proposal would be 200 with 100 refundable.
I think that's reasonable.
Do we have a motion then to raise the rental rate to 100 with a security deposit of 100, such that 100 would be refundable?
So there's, on the fee schedule that's in the proposal, though, there's essentially 4 different fees that we would charge them to be based on reoccurring or not, and then New Haven resident and non-resident. Do we want to keep that format? Do we want to just do one of those, both of them, neither?
So are you doing standard for like all park rental fees, like pavilion, 2 pavilions, community center? Are you doing just one?
My intent here is just a community center.
Oh.
That's just where I'm focusing on.
Okay,
Because
gotcha.
that's where the questions were arising from.
Gotcha.
But like I said, this was all done for existing renters that are no longer there, so, I mean, if we have it, then we can use it for future, but if not, so I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's whatever council wants to do.
I have a question about the contract though. So they're only going to sign a contract if they're a recurring rental. Shouldn't everyone sign a contract?
Well, so everybody
When they
has,
rent
the other form that was included in the packet is the existing, which is the rental agreement form. And so that's the form that they're currently filling out when they have a rental of whether it's the park, community center.
So are we gonna change this?
Right, so
Okay.
what Trustee Piccoli's, the other document is the recommendations of what he wants to change on this form. So updating the fee structure for the community center, adding in some verbiage about recurring rates, rental rates, and what the requirements are there. Presently, what we have now is we have, kind of diving in a little bit into the next topic, but we had, a business that had an agreement to use the rental on a regular basis, but there was no contract or anything really drafted up. I don't even know if we have the form filled out for the very first time that they rented the facility. So,
Because even after drafting this, I'm partial to removing the reoccurring part of it altogether and just making it a standard rental at 100 and 125. Make it just plain and simple, that's the rate to do the building, and the only difference will be if you're a resident or a non-resident, that's the difference in the price.
Yeah,
I think that's a better idea.
Simplify it, you know, since that renter's not there no more, I have less of a, there's no purpose got to accommodate that.
We can move that.
You said 100 and 125. This says those standard rentals at
Slide and slide
125.
over. Just change reoccurring to standard, and
Gotcha.
get rid of this column altogether.
Yeah, I agree.
Ms. Kazel?
Okay, so you're saying that the New Haven resident has to pay $125. On the New Haven permit right now, the pavilion, for one pavilion is $125, and the pavilion for two is $150, and the community center $150. So is this changing?
I separated the rental rate and the deposit, that's including the deposit.
Okay, that's what I need.
So the rate, so it says 150, but it's actually 75. Now it's 100. With the security deposit also being 100, so it'll be a $200 instead of a 150.
Okay.
But 100 of it comes back, is a security deposit.
Okay. So can I make a suggestion also too, if we do have a recurring, it should be brought in front of council in a contract made.
I agree.
But everyone's gonna have a contract. This is what you're considering a
So,
contract.
this rental form is one aspect.
Okay.
If we were to have a recurring rental, based off of the way that the recurring rental is set up, I would want to have some sort of other contract drafted up, which goes into more detail of what are the times, what is the recurrence, if it's a business, do they have liability insurance, et cetera,
Well, I
et
was
cetera.
gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, insurance. I mean, I
So-
think they should sign a contract, any rental. I mean, recurring is a separate thing altogether.
This is for residents, yeah.
Yeah,
Residents,
well,
and then
that's-
We're non-resident.
for business.
That form there is the present contract for renting one of our facilities. You know, it's the permit contract.
I guess we have to blend these two things together.
So to try to summarize, trustee Suchi?
Yeah, so I think I'm comfortable with the idea of potentially increasing the deposit and even increasing the non-resident fee. I am hesitant to increase the cost that's incurred to a New Haven resident to rent it. I did do a little bit of research on some surrounding communities and the costs that are associated with renting out a pavilion. For instance, like Walter and Mary Burke Park over in New Baltimore, it's about $40 for a flat fee. It's not counting a security deposit. So I think I'd be a little hesitant to increase a resident fee. I think these are,
For the
you know,
pavilion there?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, we have a different, the pavilion rates won't go up.
Okay.
This is only the community center.
This is just the community center? Okay. Yeah, I think with respect to increasing a resident fee, I guess I look at that as it's a building in the community for use by the residents, and unless we're incurring a loss on the rental right now, just based on the flat rate that we're charging the residents, I'd be hesitant to increase the cost for our residents to take advantage of a building within the community. I like the idea of increasing the security deposit just to encourage, better behavior, better respect of the property. I like that idea. I'm hesitant to increase the standard resident fee. Non-resident deposit I'm comfortable with.
Sure.
That's my 2 cents.
I think we've had a lot of discussion on the matter. Maybe what we could do is if we go kind of like point by point, maybe we could have some motions on each of these so that we can kind of move this one forward. So if we were to start with, to the New Haven resident rate, do we have a motion that somebody would like to make on what the New Haven resident rate would be?
For which one, community center?
This is specifically for the community center. This topic is only for the community center.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make a motion on what to separate to?
So I make a motion for New Haven resident, community center and the rate of $125 and non-resident $150, the security deposit of $100.
So you want to do,
I think what Trustee Percoli was saying is strike the standard rental column,
Oh,
and the recurring rental would just read as the standard price.
Yeah.
oh, 100.
Right,
Because
100
when you get the cost,
residents.
yeah, the minimum cost was close to $100, and now you can change, but,
So just say 100 then?
yeah, so that's why.
Oh, okay.
Let's start with just the New Haven resident rate, so if you could restate the motion.
So I make a motion to approve the New Haven resident rate for community center at $100 with a security deposit of.
Just that, just that.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
So we have a motion for the New Haven resident rate of $100. Do we have support?
Support.
Support. It's been properly moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the topic? Pro Tem.
Just clarification, that $100, they would receive back,
That's just
That's right.
just what they would get, or what they would pay.
so that 100 is strictly the rental fee.
Correct, not including the deposit.
Okay, okay.
Includes the initial inspection, the lights, the heat.
Any other discussion on the motion? Since this is financial, should we roll, please?
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
No.
President Bison?
Yes. All right, so then the next line item would be, what would be the standard rental fee for a non-resident? If somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll move that we set the rental fee for the community center for the non-resident at $125.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
Yes.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. All right, and then finally, a motion for the security deposit rate.
I'll move that we increase the security deposit rate for the community center to $100.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Discussion on the motion? As a summary, so a New Haven resident who would rent the community center would have an initial rental rate of $200, $100 of which would be refunded as long as the community center is returned in clean and clear condition. And for a non-New Haven resident, it would be $225 for the total rental rate, again, receiving that $100 back, so $125. Any other discussion? Roll, please.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
No.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. Alrighty. So item number B, existing community center agreements, as I sent out to everybody in a memo, we did have a business who was utilizing.
Excuse me, Ryan. There's a lot of other information.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, do we wanna,
Do we need
yeah.
to, I mean,
I'm sorry, yeah, that's a good point. We also had a discussion about the recurring requirements, although we set them as a standard rate.
right.
No,
We'll know
there
more
is no
about,
recurring on it.
We're removing the recurring.
right, yeah.
The only, hold on, I
There's-
closed it, let me pull it back up.
Notes here about the time and maintaining records and,
So the maintenance of records is something that already happens. Whenever there's a rental, it's always kept in the law.
okay. I don't know that though, that's what I'm saying. They're just asking if we could do that, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So there is changes in the cancellation policy, and it's what you discussed with me earlier, that I made those changes, how, when the refund occurs, if you cancel the community center policy. Right, as of right now, the time limit starts from when you make the reservation, and you propose to me to change it to a time from when the reservation would take place.
Yeah, so presently, the cancellation policy that we have in the permit says reservations canceled within 3 to 5 business days will receive a full refund. Reservations reservations canceled beyond 5 business days after making the reservation will receive the deposit amount only. So the discussion was, if I make a reservation a month out, whether I cancel it 3 to 5 days from now or 6 days from now, it's not really impacting the rental. I mean, yeah, you're tying up that day that maybe somebody else might have had an interest in for that period of time. They weren't able to rent it because they thought that it was unavailable. But otherwise, to me, it seems more so, if I'm canceling a couple of days before versus further out, DPW might have already gone over and prepped the building and prepared, and then we're out that time. So the recommendation that I had in here was about reservations canceled 7 days or more from the date of the rental receives the full refund, less a $25 cancellation fee, which that fee was the same, I believe, in the permit. Yes, that was in the permit, the current permit as well. And then reservations canceled 6 days or less. So if you cancel less than a week before the rental, that you would you don't get your security deposit back.
6 days from the date of the event.
6 days from the date of the event. So if you give us less than 1 week's notice that you're canceling your reservation, then you would forfeit your security deposit.
Okay, is this in the board in?
Everything is.
Okay. Okay. So, would you like that in motion, Ryan?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I will make a motion that reservations canceled 7 days or more from the date of the rental receive a full refund, security deposit, and rental fee less $25 cancellation fee. Reservations canceled 6 days or less will receive the security deposit only. That's it.
Should we add in the 6 days or less prior to the,
Yes, that's good, yes.
Yeah.
Reservations canceled 6 days or less prior to rental
scheduled
date
event?
will receive the security deposit only.
Just for clarification, just because I'm thinking about it, we're calling it the rental date, but somebody might consider that the date they signed the
Okay,
contract.
so
Event.
Date
To
of the
event date.
trustee Dilbert's
That makes
said
sense.
event date,
Yes, so I amend that to say event date.
yeah. Okay.
You have a motion?
Well, do we want to do the other one? Can we do these together?
I would suggest we do them one at a time.
Okay, it was just about rental times, but,
I know.
so that's my motion.
The rental contract
Support.
at the bottom.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? This is still financial. Roll, please.
Trustee Bankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Perpoli?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Senshi?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. All right, and then there was the other item that's on here about increasing the clarification that the rental times for the community center would be 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
So I have that on there. I don't know if that's a votable thing. It's just the format of how it's presented on the form itself. I don't know. Because it's already on the form, but it's not prominent that that's when you would have access to the community center.
Yeah, it's just kind of on the right of the.
Yeah, that, I don't know if we want to change, because that's just changing the format and how it's presented.
Do we have any issue? Anybody have any issues with those rental times?
Because it's not really changed. That is the rental time. It just,
Right.
it didn't look as clear as it came to.
Then I guess the only other item that we have would be about recurring rentals. We don't have a recurring rental rate, but maybe we could have something in there that about if you do decide to rent at the standard rate for a recurring period of time, that we have some requirements about written contract with documents. The minimal 2 rentals in a calendar month must be paid into the, well, I guess the other 2 bullets that were on there doesn't really matter because it's not a lesser amount fee. So really the only bullet item to add to it would be just that if you're gonna do a recurring rental, must have a written contract drafted up.
So
I
this
think we
is
just scrap the recurring item idea altogether.
altogether,
Just, okay,
because,
it's not presently in there,
so this is a permit for me to ask to rent the space. Where's the contract that or this is the
that
contract?
is the contract.
Because I don't see anything in here about insurance.
So this is, to me, this is not so much a contract, it is a liability waiver. Right? Isn't that basically what you're signing, is the liability portion of it? It's less a contract and more of a liability waiver.
What, for renting a community center type facility, Mr. Addis, what kind of insurance requirements would there normally, would it be like an event insurance that would typically be?
It's event insurance, if it's a one-day thing, you can require them to buy event insurance. If it's a 2-day or 3-day thing, same thing. I don't know exactly what you mean by recurring. I mean, do you mean every other weekend, weekend, whatever?
Or otherwise, just if somebody were to rent our community center, they're basically falling under our insurance then, right?
Well, I would require that they have an insurance that indemnifies the village against anything that could go wrong. Now, that's not very expensive. Event insurance can be very affordable. So I think you require that you are a named insured on a event insurance in the amount of, you can make it whatever amount you want, whether it's $500,000 or $1 million. It's really not that expensive. I mean, event insurance companies make a lot of money because very few things go wrong. And if you want an event, you pay it. It's always a good idea to, if people are going to rent village property, that you get yourself covered by their insurance. We have our own, we'd rather use theirs.
One problem I see with that though is just, now we're talking about an additional expense that the renter's going to have to.
Well, okay, you don't have to do it, you ask for
Sure.
That's smart money, okay?
Yeah.
You guys are insured, you'll be all right, but to ask for an umbrella is not a bad idea.
Does the liability waiver cover us? I mean,
So I think that's what we have here as an indemnification agreement.
because if we start requiring the residents to go out and get insurance, then that building will never be used.
Who's waiving the liability?
The renter.
The renters,
So he's got to hold harmless and indemnify.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but if he has no money and has no insurance, where are the people with the injured 4-year-old coming next?
This discussion came up because somebody was renting the facility and there was a physical activity, it was a class was being taught and there was a physical activity. Well, did this person have insurance to cover what they were, the activity? Like who's responsible?
Well, if you don't require them to buy event insurance or liability insurance, then you're responsible. Now, if they sign a waiver, the problem is the injured person's not part of the contract between you and them. Well, they'll come to me, Joe waived it. Oh, really? Well, I don't care if Joe waived it, my 4-year-old's in a cast, and it happened in your building, and I want you to pay for it. Don't show me the waiver. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's really a practical thing. Now, if you guys want to insure it yourselves, you sit down with your agent and you insure it yourselves and make it part of the package. When you buy in, we give you the insurance. That's allowable too.
Okay.
But you have to eat that cost.
Well, what is this, the contract has, this agreement on about personal injury and all that, so
Well, that's what,
if they sign this, then
Well, that's the whole harmless,
that's
just said that
that's
they don't
what,
care.
well, Attorney Addis said is that that's,
this is.
the person that's renting it is signing that, but anybody else that is at the event isn't signing it.
See here, I will hold you harmless, I'll rent it.
Right.
And I'll sign that agreement, I hold you harmless. But I don't have any money, okay? And now I break a 4-year-old's arm, by my negligence, all right? 4-year-old dad and mom don't want to hear that the guy who signed the waiver doesn't have any money. So they're coming to you. It doesn't mean they're going to win, and it doesn't mean you did anything wrong, but they're coming to you. It's a matter of where you want to put the cost. You've raised some rates. If those rates will cover you, providing insurance for the people that are there as a benefit to the community, then do that.
That's what we should do.
Right. And you should probably talk to your insurance agent and see what that cost is.
I mean, those buildings are covered
It doesn't.
as our standard umbrella. So, I mean, they're insured right now.
Okay. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. What I would be more comfortable in doing is I'd rather read those policies first before I rent it out, you know. I'd like to see if those policies do cover when you rent to someone else.
Ms. Kazel?
I would like to make a comment. When we had like yoga in there, we had to make sure that that person had liability insurance on them, especially when they were an LLC or something like that. So when anybody has any classes like that, we make sure they are covered. So, I mean, it depends on the situation and what event is going to happen in there. If somebody is doing like painting with a twist, I mean, do we ask them for insurance coverage, or that's just that's an example right now that's coming up. Do we ask that person that they get covered because we're paying them to have a class there? Or if somebody cuts themselves on the paint, I don't know. But anyways, do we ask them to have insurance? Now, if somebody is having a party there, having a shower there, we're going to ask them to have insurance there? That's my question. What entails us to ask them to have insurance?
If we're putting insurance, if we're covering the cost of the insurance, that's part of the rental fee then. That's where that cost will be absorbed.
That is correct.
Exactly. And really, this conversation is starting to head in that direction because the goal is to renovate that Lions Club and have it be a rental facility that's going to be obviously much larger than the community center. There are going to be much bigger events.
Well, this will
More
have to be
people.
modified once we
Yeah,
go
but
to the
I'm-
Lions Club, but this is for the existing, what we have right now.
So I think from what I'm hearing, I think that what would make the most sense is that we have Mr. Addis review our insurance policy, make sure that we are covered for events, and then based off of that review, we can come back and talk about that part next month.
I think that makes sense. Let me review it, and if you can cover your people, I know what you're trying to do. You want to make it a place that people want to rent and want to use. You don't want to keep jacking the costs. On the other hand, you guys have a fiduciary duty not to put the village in a bad position. So if you're covered, we'll look at it, we'll read it, we'll let you know. There's no extra cost.
Treasurer Nolan?
I was going to say, most people can endorse their homeowner's policy or renter's policy.
They
As long
can,
as they're named insured on it.
if they have one.
They have.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to table?
I make a motion to table until next month.
What are we tabling?
To look at the agreement, the waiver for
Rental,
liability.
yeah, rental insurance.
Rental insurance.
We have a motion on the table, do we have support?
Support, sorry.
It's been moved and supported, all in favor? All opposed? All right. Is everybody satisfied that those were the items that we wanted to review for the rental permit?
Yes.
Okay. Next item, we had the existing community center agreement. So, like we started to say, there was a business basically that was using the facility based off of an agreement that they had with past administration. Was getting a reduced rate. We didn't really have anything in writing. We didn't have knowledge of whether or not they had the liability insurance or anything like that. But really, at the end of the day, this one is kind of a moot point now. The business did turn in their copy of the key, so we will be having the locks changed as well, just to ensure they didn't make any copies. And that business will no longer be using it. So, based off of the previous topics discussion where we've set a standard rate, moving forward, if there is somebody that comes forward and says that they want to rent the facility on a regular basis, as we said, this is something that if we draw up a contract, this is something that should be brought to council's attention for everybody to review. Should be something that's done in public and agreed upon by council. So at this point, it's just an informational. Next up, we have council rules of procedure.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we know, so we know that the previous company turned in their key. Do we know if there was anything put in writing for this continuous agreement with them, and or if anything was put in writing by them to discontinue the reoccurring rental? I'm just asking because I'd hate for them to come back and have some sort of expectation of use of the building at this reduced rate.
They did send me an email saying that they were going to discontinue using the facility altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. We do have a file for the business that was using it, so we can make sure that we add that email to the file.
Perfect.
All right. Item number C, New Haven Council Rules of Procedure. We have 2 markups here before you, Trustee Pacoli.
Yeah, so I compiled all of the suggestions that we brought up last meeting, and I put them into 2 separate proposals. I have a proposal A and a proposal B. The base of these proposals are our existing rules of procedure, and the only changes made I marked in red. There was no zhuzhing going on. The only difference between the 2 proposals is proposal A has the provisions to go through to 2 meetings a month. And on there, I do have 2 conditions before it would be enacted, and that would be to amend ordinance 376 to adjust our pay so that it doesn't, we don't financially benefit from making this change, and it doesn't cost the residents, or the residents don't bear the cost for making this change. And I have in there a July 1st start date, and that's a completely arbitrary date that was put in there just so that the time taken to do the ordinance, to accommodate for the time taken to have the ordinance take effect. I included that proposal in there because I still firmly believe that the benefits for doing that do outweigh the inconvenience to us to come in here for 1 extra day a month. And because of that belief, I do want to bring it to a formal vote to council for, at the very least, closure. So, I mean, if we want to move forward with the discussion, I'll make the motion to adopt the council rules of procedure as presented in proposal A.
Support.
All right. It has been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? Pro Tem.
I'm just going to repeat what I've said before, that I still don't see the need for 2 meetings a month. I continue to stand by the fact that if we come in here and conduct our business, we will be out of here at a reasonable time. For instance, this conversation on the community center lasted 35 minutes. And it probably could have been concluded in about 10 minutes. And that's why these meetings become long. Excuse me. I still don't see the need. I just fail to see the need.
Yeah, one of the other things that we had talked about in the past too is that, if we know that we have a month that is coming up where we have a lot of items on the agenda, we could always call for a special meeting on the 4th Tuesday of the month so that we could still, accommodate and have 2 reasonably timed meetings instead of packing everything all into 1 month. So that would be an option if we did go with markup B.
So my comment to that is I know that there's a disparity between should and shouldn't and what is and isn't. And I've been on council for 6 years now. I've been going to them for about 10, and in recent memory, these meetings go long. Whether they should or they shouldn't, they go long. So we should be going to more meetings a month to get these things done quicker. Instead of, the community center policy, when it was first brought up, was in December, and it's a 3-month process, and now it's going to be a 4-month process, where we can have that time happen. I mean, whether that's good or bad, either way, we are, as a council, taking that time, and that's how long these things are taking, and this alleviates that.
You know, I think part of the reason that the community center discussion took so long was in the formatting of the proposed changes. You know, the council rules and procedure here that we have, the 2 versions with the markup, to me makes it much easier for us to review and actually see what the changes are, so that, you know, we don't really have to have too much discussion on what the actual changes are. Whereas the other, you know, with the community center, there was a lot of discussion just trying to really, you know, make sense of what was what between the 2 and all that. So, you know, my personal request, at least, you know, moving forward, is that we have, when we have changes like this, that we have it with markup like this. I really like this format that you did with the rules of procedure. It makes it very easy to go through and see exactly what it is that we're proposing to be changed.
But it's not just the community center policy, it's a lot of things that have been dragged on. Buying the Lions Club process, it took 4 months.
Well,
you know, whether it should or shouldn't take 4 months, it did take 4 months with discussion and deliberation.
Sometimes there is the discussion and deliberation, but, you know, admittedly, we also, that was things that were happening under past administrations. Admittedly, I've been sitting here watching the clock, and it's still my goal to get us out at 9 o'clock, or we're as close to it as possible. So, you know, I could have done a better job of steering the community center discussion so that it didn't drag on as long as it did. But, you know, so far under, you know, while I've been president, we've been getting out right around the 9 o'clock mark. So, you know, Pro Tem?
If I may address this to Mr. Addis. There's a proposal to change, to make some changes to, I forget the ordinance number.
376?
Yeah, ordinance 376, which has to do with
that would take effect during this council term. Is that allowable? And because it's my understanding that changes that we adopt, whether it's meeting dates and or pay, shall not take effect during the current council
term of council. I know the issue, and I know what you're saying. What is problematic is the following. There are some new and repeat members of council. It really doesn't matter. When you ran for the council seat, the meetings were once a month. Okay? And a change now raises an issue which I don't know the answer to, because most people don't, and this doesn't happen very often, is that everybody here is on other community boards, everybody here has jobs. I ran knowing that I would have to be here on a certain Tuesday of every month. Now I have to be here on 2 Tuesdays of every month. That to me is a potential legal problem. You had no notice of that, maybe you wouldn't run. Changing meetings could cause some people to say, well, I resign, or I can't do this. In fact, I think you, Mr. President Pro Tem, raised the fact that you have travel plans. You're a semi or completely retired. Oh, a really nice suit for a retired guy. And yeah, well,
I'm so bad here between us.
all right. I mean, I am troubled by it. I understand Mr. Picoli's approach, but I'm troubled by it. Do I have a complete answer for you? No, but I think it's a problem. I run for office thinking I'll be here on a certain Tuesday of every month, and now I gotta be here on 2 Tuesdays of every month. And that's not why I ran, that's not the deal I made. Now, if you do it without consideration to me, and you don't want to charge the taxpayers more, it's kind of breaking the bargain we made. If you follow my drift here, I'm gonna be here once a month on Tuesday night, and I'm gonna go to approximately 9, okay? And I can schedule that into my life and in my family life and in my travel life. And now if you change it, it's almost as if it should be changed prior to another election to be cleaner. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but I can see if somebody got bent out of shape, there could be some legal problems about it. Do I have an answer for it? No, because in all my years, and they are counting up quickly, I've never seen it. I mean, I've never seen it during a term to say, instead of meeting now, we're gonna meet twice, or instead of once, we're gonna meet 3 times. I've never seen it. Doesn't mean it's a bad idea, and Mr. Picoli knows I respect his intellect and his approach. But I've never seen it before. Doesn't mean it hadn't happened, but I've never seen it. So to give you an answer that's not an answer, I think it's problematic. If you want to do it, maybe you have to do it future-wise. In the next term, and these terms are short, 2 years goes by in the blink of an eye, the meetings are going to be twice a month. And then anybody who runs and accepts and takes their oath, takes the oath based on that. You've taken the oath based on once a month with special meetings. You've agreed to special meetings. So if they're called, you got to be there. Does that make any sense? Have I answered it?
It really does.
So here's my, if you want to know my thought process on why it was done that way. I originally did want to do it previous term, but the issue that I saw in doing that was the 3 people that would be voting, 3 people of that council that would be voting on it would not be under that umbrella. So they would be voting on, they were not going into this term. I wanted to wait for the people that got elected and appointed to have a say in that. So I brought it up now so that they can actually vote on it. Right.
This is a problem with, throughout the state, with 2-year terms. Okay, I'm sorry, with short terms before there are elections. There are always lame duck members of a board. Okay, and so, well, do I do it now? Do I do it the next time? I'm going to go out on a little limb here, and I haven't done a lot of research on it. I believe that to make that kind of substantive change, it should probably be done prospectively. This council could vote that we're going to change to 2 times a month starting in the next term. I don't think that that's challengeable. I think if you do it now, I don't know who will challenge it, okay? But if somebody challenges it and says that's not the bargain I made, I think it's problematic. Now, I don't know how the court would rule. Most, I got to give some people some credit here. Most people do not want to increase their workload because the people who sit in these seats, and then this is a compliment to public servants, do more than just this. I mean, you're on committees, they're on committees, not just here. Somebody are on school boards, some people are on athletic committees, some people are on community committees that do other charitable things. So, and they all have jobs and they all have families. So when, after they accept the position, you change the work conditions, the only thing I can tell you is, I think it's problematic, and if somebody challenges it, I got a feeling the court will have to decide.
So if I amend the motion for the changes that take effect not July 1st, but the following election,
you'd be on much sounder ground.
I'll amend my motion.
You would be on much sounder ground. Because then the people who run know, I'm going to be here twice a month.
It would be the next full election.
It would be.
So, the motion was made by trustee Barrero, so
I just, no.
She's second.
Yeah, I just
Oh, you're
want to,
second.
yeah, I just want to support it so we can just vote on it.
Sure.
Not that I agree with that. just-
I'll amend it so that it takes place at it takes effect the next full election.
All right, so we have an amendment to take place at the next full election. Do we still have support?
Oh, sir, what was the amendment?
Do you say?
What was the amendment?
The amendment is that this would not take effect until the next full election.
Yes, support.
Okay, so it has been moved and supported. Motion on, or discussion on the motion.
What do you consider the next full election?
4 years.
See, the next full election in 2 years.
But
No,
it's
that's not a full election of this board.
There's never a full election of the whole board.
Well, that would
For the decision made right now, that would be it would be your term, you're the newest term, and then you could run based on that.
So then you're saying,
So since you were elected as a 4-year term, this gives you your entire term that you wouldn't have to worry about this change taking effect.
it would give me and Fred
Right.
and.
Now,
I
it
just,
is a-
I want clarification of what I'm voting on, because which one is A and which one is B? Because these are not labeled.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
They will not find
I don't see
The
that.
file name is labeled.
Oh, yeah, you gotta look at the file.
Look at the top bar of the board. So the one that, the motion on the table is for the twice a month.
Okay, for the twice a month, that's fine.
File name.
There we go, I see, thank you very much. I was looking for it on the document.
I don't know.
Because I just want to make sure everybody knows what they're voting on.
Yeah, so the one that we're voting on is where it would be twice a month. So it has been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion?
So, because we're doing it that way, and there is a change, there would have to be a change to the ordinance. I know there was talk on this board of actually changing the rates that we do have that we're compensating down here. I think that if there's enough time, we could have discussions that include that as well into that ordinance, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be done tonight.
Yeah, well, now we got a lot of time, so we can actually think it out and talk about that. So I think that, yeah, that'll be something at a future meeting.
Okay. Any other further
I would
discussion?
only be able to support all that at the same time though, because
No, the ordinance doesn't get touched by this. Is just rules of procedure.
I understand that, but you're asking me to commit somebody who is gonna run for a seat
Well, let's,
that they have to meet twice a month, but they're not gonna be compensated for it financially.
Trustee Jankowski, maybe if we have the vote, that might then decide whether or not we want to.
Oh,
The ordinance will be a separate thing, so we can discuss it at the time we do the ordinance.
Roll call?
Trustee Purley.
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero.
Yes.
Trustee Bankowski.
I'm sorry. What was this amendment for again? For us to discuss?
This is for the twice a month.
Oh, no. There was a discussion.
No, it's all the changes with.
Well, but the amendment is,
Yeah.
right, it's all the changes, but this one is changing it to be twice a month.
Effective 2026?
Yeah, effective 2026.
How am I gonna vote for the other people? No.
Trustee Bankowski.
no,
Trustee Dilbert.
No.
Trustee Nona.
No.
Trustee Suchi.
No.
And President Bison.
No.
Then I will move to adopt the council rules of procedure as shown in proposal B.
Proposal B does not have the twice a month proposal in it. It's the rest of the changes that we reviewed last month, putting parliamentary procedure to be officially recognized, Robert's Rules of Order, moving unfinished business above new business, moving of some of the items, so where, what type of minutes are kept, what's kept in the minutes at a minimum. And then I think the other item.
Naming agenda requests.
Yeah, the agenda requests, as well as under ordinances and resolutions, the proposed ordinance shall be presented at 2 consecutive regular meetings. So this will allow for, the proposed ordinance must then be publicly posted for a period of at least 7 days. So it will allow public review of any ordinances that we have changes to.
Did we have a second on that?
We don't have a motion yet. Or, I'm sorry, trustee Pacoli is the motion.
Yeah, I'll support it.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Pacoli?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
Yes.
President Meissen?
Yes. All right. Next up is item D, the ordinance for monetary limits of purchases, raising the amount from 2,500 to 4,000. This was reviewed at last month's meeting. We had posted the ordinance publicly for review. We did not get any feedback on the ordinance change. As stated previously, this is mainly just because of inflation and the cost of everything going up. We've run into issues where we've had items that had to be delayed, such as the painting of the crosswalks at the elementary school, because the amount was $3,000 and our monetary limit was $2,500. So instead of getting the crosswalks painted before the school started, we had to have it painted afterwards. Items like that. Do we have a motion?
Ordinance number 398.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. 390?
398.
Oh, 398?
Yes, 398.
I will make a motion for ordinance number 398, an amendment to ordinance 302 intended to increase monetary limits for purchases, contracts, and sales made by the Village of New Haven up to $4,000.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion?
And who benefits from this increase? Who are the,
This would be for the village president and our designated purchasing agents, and we previously made the motion that our purchasing agents were our fire chief and DPW supervisor.
That was the resolution.
That was a
We
resolution.
did have a resolution.
That was last month.
so it doesn't include the office manager?
The office manager, the purchases that she makes rolls up through the village president, under my understanding. So she still has the ability to make the purchases, and then it'll be under my approval when I review the invoices. Any other discussion on the motion? Roll call?
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
Yes.
Trustee Pacoli?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
President Meissen?
Yes. All right, item number E, SYO contract. This one is an addendum for our existing contract that we had with SYO. Trustee Succi, doing his due diligence, asked for a copy of the original. I don't believe we had that in the ordinance, or I'm sorry, in the packet. But when we went back and looked, it was an increase of from 675 to 710.
715.
Or I'm sorry, 715. So pretty minor increase in the support contract cost per month. One of the things that I'd like to recommend that we continue with SYO. They intimately know our setup of the current network and our computer systems and everything that we do and have in place. They're also the ones that we're going to be implementing the Office 365. We have some other items that we're getting quotes on as far as modernizing the ability of entering and leaving our facilities with keypads so that we don't have to give keys out to people who rent a community center. So I would like to ask that we accept the addendum for the contract with SYO at an increase of $715 per month, or increase to $715 a month, with an effective term to February 28th, 2026.
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion?
So the previous motion we had on this was to put it out for RFP. We did a 6-month extension. Trustee Colley made the motion to do it in RFP.
We went back and looked at the YouTube video. That was not part of the motion. There was discussion about RFPing, we did not actually make it part of the motion.
Oh, that's right, I think that.
Yeah.
But this is something that we really should, I mean, we haven't done an RFP for a lot of things in a long time, and I think we really need to get back to that.
So if it is the pleasure of council to do that, I mean, that's something that we could look into. I think, I think one of the things that we have to consider though is that, we're in process of having them do the Office 365 rollout, that would complicate that. And then we also trying to bid it out to get another vendor on board of understanding our current network and the systems in place and all that. I mean, we're talking an increase of $20 or $30 a month.
Well, I mean, we are late in the game to do it for this, but moving forward for a lot of the services that we have, we really need to start going back to RFPing just to find out where we're at in the market for what we are getting.
I think that's a fair request. Trustee Sachi?
Yeah, I did get a chance to look at this agreement in detail. I would say it's actually a pretty favorable agreement. The biggest reason that I asked to see the original agreement was to see what it binds, like how long it binds us and what their agreement to provide for us and services was. Because 3 years is a long time, right? It does state in the agreement that either party can cancel services with written notice 90 days in advance. So while it is a 3-year agreement, if for some reason the service level fell off or we wanted to do an RFP or something along those lines, there is an out from the contract of 90 days. Now, I've only had one experience with Jason, obviously I'm new to this. He was really pleasant. So I'm definitely not implying that we'll move away from his services, just more so that I think it's a pretty favorable agreement, and if we do want to look into pricing and bidding out on these services elsewhere, I don't think that agreeing to renew the 3-year contract necessarily locks us in no advance of bucks for another 36 months.
We had it moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Noda?
Yes.
Trustee Sachi?
Yes.
Trustee Popoli?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. All right. Item number F, Fire Department interior lights. So the fire department has quite a few ballasts, fluorescent ballasts that are in there around their office space and throughout the fire department side of the building. I always went over there and I always just thought they had like mood lighting going on with the, it was kind of nice and dark over there. Turns out it's actually because all the little fluorescent ballasts are out and it's causing the light bulbs to be dead. So Energy Specialties Group, this is a company that was referred to us from DTE. They have the rebate system where you can contract with DTE. They have a vendor that comes out and they will replace and upgrade the lights to LED. So for the fire department side, we're talking about 47 lights with a total cost of, total luminaire cost for the lighting, $6,379. There's a total system rebate or incentive of $2,113, which would bring the estimated contract price to $4,266. By their estimate, the savings by switching over to the LED from the fluorescent lights would take 1.27 years to realize the payback of energy savings. Do we have a motion for the fire department interior lights?
So that would be 4266.
Right, 4266.
At some point, I think I would have to request a report on how many light bulbs. It just seems like 3 or 4 times a year we get requests for to replace lights in the village. And
so we've replaced street lighting, we've replaced exterior lighting, we've replaced some of the lights in the office, if I remember correctly. I don't know if you remember from.
We did the street lighting, we did the exterior lighting.
Yeah.
I
So-
thought we already did interior last year, or the year before.
We had a quote, but never went through with it.
Oh, is that, I'm remembering a quote?
Okay. And by doing, so we have the three items. We have the fire department, you know, the next one is DPW, and then H is office interior. If we were to move forward with the fire department and the office interior, that takes care of
So there won't be any,
no more of these, you know.
it's on camera now.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move that we approve the replacement of the lighting in the fire department in the amount of $4,266 from Energy Specialties Group.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Trustee Donkowski.
Why do we only have one quote?
So when we when we asked DTE to get us the quote, this is the company that they had referred us to. This was their preferred vendor for us to use.
So this one vendor services the entire state of Michigan.
I can't speak to that, but they, this is the vendor that we would have to go with that would give us that system rebate. That's at least my understanding.
It's just not very fiscally responsible of us to continue to award contracts without other bids. That's just my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah. I know wherever possible, we've been trying to get through bids. It's just, I mean, some of these cases, it's you reach out to DTE, they have this
But
rebate
you don't have
incentive
to just go
program.
with a, not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
you are not, to be in these programs, you're not required to go through DTE. There's plenty of energy companies out there that offer this.
Well, and that goes back to even the previous discussion, RFPs are bids, just for services instead of physical things, and we have not been doing that at all in the last couple of years, so we do need to get back to doing that.
I do agree. We have the motion and the support. Any other discussion on this one? Roll call?
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
Yes.
Trustee Noda?
Yes.
And President Mason.
Yes. Next is the DPW. So this one, there's 32 existing lights. The proposal is to add one further light. Right now, they have the huge, you turn it on and the bzzz, the lights like gotta warm up and everything. So this would be a huge upgrade for them. As they show, system wattage out of those 32 lights is over 18,000 watts, and we'll bring it down to less than half of that at 7,000 watts. So a total luminaire cost of $10,965, less the system rebate of $5,734 would bring the total estimated contract price of $5,231 with a payback in the energy savings in 1.55 years. So again, this is similar to the previous proposal.
So moved.
Support.
So we'll go from spending over $700 a month in lighting to less than $300 a month.
Correct. We have it moved and supported. Do we need the dollar amount on that in the motion now?
For spending.
It'd be good.
Okay. The motion, the cost is $10,965 with an anticipated rebate of $5,734. Well, we can't, it's an estimate, so I can't, this is an estimated contract price, so.
Well, it's a rebate. Yes, no.
But if you look here, it says total luminaire cost, so that's the cost of material and labor, $10,965. Then it says the rebate incentive is $57.34, and it says estimated contract price. So
You can use the term estimated.
Well, because it's based on usage, right?
No,
Well, if you're using lot hours,
No,
no.
well,
It
the
doesn't have anything to do with it.
luminaire cost is the cost of the actual fixtures, the replacement fixtures and all that. So then the system rebate, so, the agreement that, what we would be agreeing to would be the $5,231.
Well, no, because you have to write a check for $10,965. Am I correct?
Ms. Hazel, would that be correct? For the, when we do the lighting, is it, we're writing the check for the total amount and then getting a rebate? Or are we only writing the check and the amount less the
We
rebate?
paid it both ways, unfortunately, so.
And typically the rebate exceeds the estimate.
So, do you understand what I'm saying? Though the purchase price, is we have to vote for $10,965.
But we didn't vote for 6,379 over here on the first one.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just realizing this now that I'm reading this. It says total estimated.
I think the net cost is accurate, it's a fairly accurate cost.
every project we do, major project is an estimated cost, even when we do road projects, those are estimated costs, and we approve them based on that.
Okay. So again, $10,965 for the labor materials, rebate of $5,734, total estimated price of $5,231.
We have a motion, do we have support?
I support.
Trustee Guerrero supports. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll.
Trustee Bankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Sushi?
Yes.
Trustee Pepoli?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
And President Tyson.
Yes. All right, last but not least is the municipal office area with 46 replacement lights. Total luminaire cost of $6,532. Total system rebate incentive of $1,768 for a total estimated contract price of $4,764. This one with the 46 new LED flat panel lights with a simple payback of 1.18 with energy savings. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion for a luminaire cost of $6,532, total system rebate $1,768, estimated contract price of $4,764 for lighting for the offices.
The motion, do we have support?
Support.
Support. We have, motion has been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Pepoli?
Yes.
President Tyson.
Yes.
And no more lights, right?
No more requests for LED upgrades. Unless we start looking at the community center or other facilities.
Better get more than one bid.
Yes, and those we won't have anymore. We'll work on it. Next one is geotech investigation proposals, Manning Street and Lions Club. So we have an email here from our village engineer discussing requested proposals for 4 geotechnical firms to investigate Manning and Lions Hall pavement condition. Only one was received. So here's another example where there was a conscious effort to try to get multiple bids. Unfortunately, we only got one that was received from TEC proposal in the amount of $5,093. Sir Matt, I don't know if there was anything that you wanted to speak upon on this one. I see that you're recommending that TEC be awarded the what is it, geotechnical RFP.
Yeah, for the new council members, this is very typical service that we request for every street rehab. The only difference here is we added one core at the Lions Club because we're looking into rehabbing the parking lot. That's the only difference here. And again, we solicited 4 firms. We only received one. This is very needed information for us to design the rehab on Manning Street.
It will be very beneficial with the Lions Club as well. The coring of the Lions Club will then give us an idea of how bad the parking lot is at the Lions Club for any rehab work that we might do there. The thought was just to do it all at once while they're on site instead of having to have a company come out and do the Lions Club separately. Do we have a motion?
So I will move that we move forward with Testing Engineering and Consultant Incorporated to do 4 geotechnical investigations for the amount of $5,093.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Bunkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Suchy?
Yes.
Trustee Rona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
President Meissner?
Yes. All right. Call from the floor. As a reminder, you're limited to 3 minutes. Call from the floor.
Don't let y'all get away with it.
Please state your name and address.
Yeah, Brent here. You guys, just because we don't get a chance to speak, and half the time you probably don't even know what you guys are about to vote on. Half, seem like half y'all something, I don't know how, what you're voting on. But the rental agreement that you guys is indicating, just so when it does come up, and it wasn't, you was reaching on the Village Park. Just before you make any decisions on the rental on that park, I would encourage you to check with your legal counsel, because Village Park is done with federal money and grant money, and it's not to be rented out. So, and I know the village has been rented out, and I think back when they put the restroom in there, the restroom was when they started renting it out, because they had to clean it and whatnot, and that was part of that, and that was done by, actually, I think Anthony Lombardo actually put that in there, had the funding for that. But a lot of that was done by federal DNR money and whatnot, and it's not to be rented out, so when you make the decisions on renting that out.
Call from the floor. Okay. Call from the table.
I'll have one. I know we have budget coming up and we have millage rates coming up, and I'm going to ask that we seriously look into help alleviating the cost of living in the village by reducing the millage rate that we have on our general fund. I'm looking at the numbers, and since we took office here, the assets of the village, the general fund balance has doubled, and the assets have doubled, and I think it's time to, and we've been spending money, in my opinion, like I said, I mean, we replaced almost the DPW fleet, the fire department fleet, and we still managed to double it, so I think it's time we do some give back, and give some relief to the residents through the millage rates.
Order good.
Call from the table. All right, of course, I got a couple, minor really quick though. I just wanted to recognize the New Haven Fire Department for some recent achievements. Our fire chief isn't here tonight to actually give himself, to kind of brag about it. One of which was an award that they just received on Friday for their technical career partnership with New Haven Community Schools, which I thought was really nice. But one of the other things that I wanted to bring up, and it's not as well known, is that they recently had 2 of the firefighters go through the instructor class, and they are now fully certified training instructors. And what this is going to allow the fire department to do is actually have training at their own facility for their recruits, as well as any recruits from other municipalities. And so the reason why I wanted to bring that up is that when we were talking about the budget amendments, there was a budget amendment for mileage for the recruits. we were having to pay for the recruits to go to Kimball Township or other municipalities, and then having to pay for that mileage back and forth. Now that they have this, the ability that they can be a training facility here locally, hold the, host training and have other recruits coming in, something that we will see as a savings. So I thought that was worth bringing up. Otherwise, I just want to thank everybody for spending their Valentine's Day with me. It's greatly appreciated. And, we are a little bit over at 9:15, but we did make it through at a pretty decent amount of time. If there is any other call from the table, there is a motion in order. So moved. All in favor? Motion to